You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we welcome our friend Samah Abukhodeir, founder and managing partner at the Florida Probate and Family Law Firm. The firm is dedicated to helping clients throughout the state of Florida in the areas of probate, guardianship, estate planning, elder law, and family law. Sam is also a founding member of Lawyer Stories Connect, which we're very pleased about. Sam, how are you?
Good. It's so good to see you.
I know, it's great to see you too. You're sort of a Lawyer Stories OG, and I appreciate that. I mean that in like the best way because we first featured you. I went back through the Lawyer Stories archive, aka like a little Gmail folder, and 10, 14, 20. We featured you, and as of now, we're in like 2025. It's crazy, right? Like our families have grown. Like we've met in person a couple times, which is cool. I think in Atlanta, and then again in Miami at one of the events.
Yep.
And you appeared on episode 65 of the Lawyer Stories podcast. We're at episode like 220 something right now.
Wow.
As of this recording, so I just, on behalf of the whole Lawyer Stories family, want to extend a big thank you to you for your support over this time, because it really means a lot. You know, it's kind of been like a little journey of my own. So thanks for being a part of that, Sam. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
So in the first episode, I'm not going to refer to it too much, but I know I went back there just to kind of take a look at how young I was back then and how unweathered I looked back then before my family started growing. Just kidding, kids. Tell us what it's like. Like you grew up in Lake Wales, Florida, and your parents are from Jerusalem. Like let's hear the backstory about that a little bit.
So my parents immigrated to this country in the late 80s. I think it was like 1987 because I was born in 88. Now I'm giving away my age.
So young.
And they got married in Jerusalem, where they're from East Jerusalem. We're Palestinian. We still have thousands of family members there. And my parents decided to come over. My dad went to medical school in Germany, lived for a period of time in Egypt, went back to Palestine, and then decided that his brothers were in the States, specifically in Florida.
Okay.
And so he wanted to get closer to them. So he came over. They sponsored him coming over. He restudied for his board exams to become a doctor here.
Okay.
Took them twice, was never able to pass them, missed them by 1 point.
That's the worst. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's tough. We ended up going to Lake Wales, or they ended up going to Lake Wales. I was born there. I'm the oldest of three girls.
Wow.
I have two younger sisters, both nurses. One's a nurse practitioner,
Nice.
one's an RN. And so they've built this, they helped us get here. They now live in Tampa. They moved out of Lake Wales, but
Nice.
we stayed there until I believe I was 25. They finally moved out, or maybe it was later. Maybe it was my late 20s.
Yeah.
However, Lake Wales is a small town in Central Florida. We were the only brown family. Not much diversity there.
Right.
It was hard growing up there, and I made it a goal to go to college, get a full ride. Ended up going to FSU. So when I was 17, I moved away to Tallahassee, and then after Tallahassee, got into FIU law in Miami. The reason that I'm still here. I met my husband and the love of my life and the father of my children in law school. And he was born and raised in Miami. So we have been in Miami ever since.
That's amazing. Go Knowles. I love it. So Did your dad end up doing something in the medical field? Like, I mean, your sisters, you say, are nurses. Like, did he say, okay, I'm gonna like do X, Y, and Z in the medical field? I'm just curious.
So he tried getting odd jobs at the hospital, thinking that that might get him, his foot in the door. But as we know, and not to get political or anything like that, it's hard for immigrants,
Yep.
especially when they come to this country. English was not their first language. Arabic was, um, and he did not end up because of not passing his boards. He did not end up going into medicine, but he became a food scientist technician.
Wow. Okay.
Florida's Natural, the orange juice company.
Yeah.
So he still did something with chemistry,
Cool.
but it was not exactly what his dreams or goals were.
Yeah, but I think like he's probably super proud of you guys, right? And
Oh,
you
yeah.
just yeah, totally. So and you decided to like go a different route with law school. Tell us a little bit about that. Like when you were like, I think I'm gonna go to medical school. No, like what? Tell me a little bit.
So I wanted to be just like my dad.
Yep.
I was pre-med at FSU, and then I don't know what got into me, I'm gonna be honest. I think that I realized that I did not want to be in school forever. And I
Yeah.
have this dream and goal of having a family and having kids in my 20s. And I just did not see those two things aligning.
Right.
Now that I'm in my 30s and I see how life is, I probably was not thinking straight or getting the right advice. But anyways, because of that, I decided, you know what? I want something that's going to be a little bit quicker and also something that is going to afford me the life of being a mom and being a lawyer.
Right.
So that's why I decided to go to law school. I also did not want to practice. I wanted to I didn't want to practice in the traditional sense, right? I didn't want to be a litigator. I didn't want to be in court every day. I
Hmm.
wanted to do human rights work.
Yep.
And so that's what my dream was, and it changed. It changed with
Yeah.
time, it changed with opportunity, it changed with everything that happened in life.
It's amazing, and I love, that's sort of one of the things I love about lawyer stories and being able to connect people is like you hear people like personal injury lawyers. I want to be in court. I want to go to take every case to trial. But it's nice to hear, I knew I wanted to do civil rights. I knew I didn't want to be in court. I knew, and you kind of wish you in law school, or at least I do, like I kind of would have taken the time to listen to different perspectives on how you could do different things. So I think I could really like appreciate you saying that. I think that's awesome. Like you kind of knew like what you wanted to do.
Thanks.
So why did you? So what was? Let's talk about law school. Like, tell me about your experience in law school when you finally got there.
Yeah. So I definitely didn't enjoy it. It
Really?
was a hard 3 years. Yeah, if you asked my husband, he would say the exact
So
opposite.
wait, let me actually. I meant to ask that next. Let me stop
Sure,
you.
sure.
So Jose
Yes,
is your husband. Does he? Nice guy. Met him a couple times.
he
Is he? Was he in your class in law school?
he was.
Okay. So have you been like dating since law school, or did you reconnect later?
No, we've been dating since law
That's
school.
amazing. Congratulations.
Yes,
So,
thank you.
what was the law school experience like? And what year did you guys meet, actually?
So we met in 2010 when we
No,
started school.
okay, so like first year law school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We did not start dating until towards the middle or end of law school. It was complicated because we come
Nice.
from two different backgrounds.
Mm.
So it was not something that we were open about, and even friends in law school didn't know that we were seeing each other. Uh,
Wow. That's kind of cool though, right? Like that's kind of
yeah,
like one of those like Hallmark movies a little bit.
I don't know if I would call it
Just kidding.
that,
All
but
right, sorry. Yeah.
it was a wild ride to
All
get
right.
to marriage. Our it was a complicated and very hard um path to getting married, but it's been a
Okay.
blessing.
Good, good.
Yeah.
So tell us besides Jose, like what in your like secret study sessions and all that, like what was your tell me about your law school experience at
So I was the studier.
yep.
I was always in the books, in the library. I did not enjoy law school like I was joking about earlier, but it wasn't a joke.
Yeah.
It was hard, coming from being a straight A student to not making straight A's in law school was tough, and it took a mental toll on me. Like I suffered from severe anxiety.
Okay.
And I would say from time to time, like it would bring me down as well.
Sure.
But then I would see my friends and they were partying every night. They were having fun. They were showing up to class hungover.
Crazy.
I don't drink. I
Yeah.
don't do any of that stuff. So it was just interesting to me that it comes easier to some people. It did not come easy for me going to law
Right.
school.
Right.
I excel at math and science, so it was hard.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
That is hard. And like, was there a lot of pressure for you growing up to have like straight A's? You were a straight A student, and like, is that something that, or was that just on you? Was that like your whole thing?
No, my parents were pretty strict on us. I mean, they wanted us to do the best. I've said this many times before. I was a Section 8 housing baby. I
Okay.
was a food stamp baby. We did not have much. So my
Okay.
parents each worked multiple jobs to make sure that we were provided for and we did the best that we could. And um, they invested they invested right with us because now both
Yeah.
my parents are retired and living a better life, thank
That's
God.
awesome. And you know, I work in public health. That's my
I
full-time
know.
job. Yeah.
I
So
know.
that's
That's why I
really,
mentioned it.
no, that's really interesting. That's wow. That's just a great story for the whole program. Actually, we have a Section 8 program. We do state aided public housing, but that's amazing.
Thanks.
So what? So the moment you were just kind of like, I don't want to do med school. Like I think so. Was there like, what's the moment? Did you have a moment? If you didn't have a moment, like what was like the inspiration?
So I talked to a bunch of people at FSU that were mentors, people that I liked, professors that I liked. And I realized that if I went to law school, I didn't need to practice traditional law. I could
Yeah.
be a professor, I could go into policy, um, I could be in compliance at a company. There were so many different paths with
Sure.
getting a
Yep.
JD that it just made sense to me. And since I was not 100% set on what I wanted to do in the future, I it was the smartest decision at the time. And I really think that it is extremely hard to ask a 17-year-old coming out of high school what
Hmm.
to major in because our brains are not fully developed, right? And then asking a 21-year-old, after graduating college, like pick the career or pick the
Right.
path that you want for the rest of your life. I also think that's really difficult. But I'm happy that I made the decision that I did because now as a result of those decisions, I'm running a multi-million dollar company that I
Woo.
really believe in.
Yeah. It's amazing. Woo.
Yeah,
Good for you. Happy
thanks.
for you. That's amazing. Um, so so we asked you what your law school experience was like. You won two Callies.
I did.
I won one Cali too. That's amazing. I just had to throw that in there. I like to. I mean, that's basically the best I did there. But congratulations on the
Thanks.
Cali Award. Do you remember which ones they were?
Yeah, it was Islamic Sharia law, which
Okay.
most law schools don't offer, and I thought that was really cool. And I did my thesis in that class on adoption, because that's
Wow.
fostering and adopting, I think, is a huge issue in most cultures. So that's what I did my thesis on, and I ended up booking the class. And then I believe the other one was judicial externship. So I externed for one of the judges and did very well.
Good. That's great. So tell us about graduating law school, passing the bar, like your first job at a law school. What was that like?
Sure. Um, the so the reason I ended up in this area of law was actually because of the job that I had during law school. So last semester of law school, spring semester of 2013, I was clerking for the judge, doing the externship. I was working for a criminal defense attorney. And then when I was clerking for this judge, this attorney comes in, has a very complicated probate litigation case. The judge I was clerking for was the administrative probate judge. And he had a cultural issue on his case. And
Okay.
we spoke about it in court. And he was like, I really like you. You're hired. And I
Wow.
was like, I didn't apply for anything, but thanks. And he was like, my associate will be reaching out to you. And I was like, what the world is this man talking about? And so his associate did reach out to me. She said, listen, we're looking for a law clerk. It will eventually become an associate position after you pass the bar. Are
Wow.
you interested? And I said, no. I said no because I was taking 18 credit hours to graduate. I had two jobs at the time, so I was like, there's no freaking way.
Yeah.
Ended up speaking to my husband. He wasn't my husband at the time, but I speaking to my friend, and he said, Sam, you should get into it. What do you have to lose? See if you like it. I know you don't have time, but you can make time. I know you.
Right.
So I ended up taking on a third job that
What
semester.
were your other two jobs?
So I say the judicial externship is a job because
Okay.
it was extra time that you had to
Okay.
work for the judge, but you
Right.
don't get paid for that. And then working for a criminal defense attorney, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
So I took that on as a third thing in addition to school. And it ended up right after I passed the bar that summer. So I started, I think, in January, passed the bar or took the bar in July, and then passed the bar in September. And I started as an associate attorney doing probate litigation.
Probate litigate. That's tough. Like that stuff is sort of you see like the brother and the sister getting into like
Yeah,
the fight over like the will, right? Is that sort
yeah,
of what that's like?
yeah. Or
Yeah.
the trust or
Right.
uh, anything that mom and dad left behind. And it's ugly. And I learned a lot working through those litigations. We practice in that area at my firm.
Yeah.
Um, it was an interesting first job. Uh, it was hard. The environment was hard. It was cutthroat. It's like what you see in the movies and on TV. It was not easy.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty wild. But you got good experience. Were you there 4 years?
No, I was there as a law clerk and as an associate I want to say a year and a half.
Year and a half. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then so I thought you had a position for 4 years somewhere. Maybe that's
Yes and no. So after that position, I ended up going to another firm, practicing there for 2 years, doing same stuff. It wasn't litigation, but it was probate, guardianship, estate planning, but then a focus on Medicaid planning. That was
okay.
the differing
Wow.
area of law. And I stayed there for 2 years. Great person, great mentor. We're still really good friends. She's awesome. And um, after that, I was I was taken from that job, convinced, and I changed over to a family law firm. And that was the position that I stayed at for 4 years, 2 years as
Okay.
an associate and 2 years as of counsel, because after 2 years, I started my firm.
So why family law? Why didn't you go back to the criminal or like why didn't you like why
Great,
family law and elder
great question.
estate? Yeah.
Great question. So I was brought on to the last firm before I started my own firm. Even though it was a family law firm, they had probate cases. And
Okay.
so she wanted me to head the probate division, which I ended up doing. And then while I was there, I would help her with family trials, family hearings, family cases. Eventually, the community found out that I was not just doing probate, I was also doing family. And although South Florida is a diverse area, um, there's not many Arab women that practice in both of these areas.
Wow.
And so the word got out in law school, in my personal communities, and so everybody started sending family cases, and that's how I got into family law.
That's amazing. So how are all the different types that you're doing at your firm like, and we're going to get into your firm in a minute, but probate, guardianship, estate planning, elder law, family law, how do they interweave? I mean, is there a connection between all of them?
So yes, I
Yeah.
think that it was. I'm going to give myself a little bit of credit here. It was smart choosing a firm that practices in two different areas.
Hmm.
They both connect for sure. So let's say somebody comes to us for a divorce. Shortly after the divorce, they'll tell us, "Oh, Sam, I also saw that you guys do estate planning. Do you
Right.
mind redoing my estate plan now
Yeah.
that I'm divorced, so that everything is, kosher and clear
Right.
moving forward if anything were to happen to me?" So they do connect. But also, I think it was smart to do it in two different areas because if one area is a little bit slow during this season, the other area is picking up. So
Right.
there's always like this flow that helps in one area or the other. So yes, they're definitely connected. We do a lot of work in the special needs community. A lot of our
Okay.
family clients that are getting divorced or have child custody issues, have special needs kids. So we end up helping them out with guardianships, with guardian advocates, with estate planning. So yes, I think that they both really complement one another.
Wow, okay. And so going back to, you're an entrepreneur. How did you know when it was time? When you were like, okay, I'm doing my own thing. It's time to be the founder and managing partner at the Florida Probate and Family Law Firm.
So I never, believe it or not, I never saw myself as having my own firm. I never took a business class. I
Right.
never had the desire to have my own business. I didn't know anything. Like, I didn't know anything about business. So to answer that question, it came about by itself because I was offered partnership. I didn't like the deal. And my
Wow.
husband told me, Sam, go out on your own. You've got the business, you've got the referrals, you can kill it. Just go out there and do it. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, this is not I'm risk averse. I'm not at the time. This is not a risk I want to take. And
Right.
to connect back to the beginning of this, the reason that I was also really afraid was because my dad was having health issues and he
Okay.
had to retire from his job after 25 plus years. So he had told me ahead of time, Sam, I'm going to need your financial backing
Nice.
when I'm
Oh,
retired
yeah.
because I don't have a savings. So I'm going to need your help. Social Security is not going to be able to cover
Right.
everything, and your mom is not going to be able to either. So I had this fear that if I started my firm, I wasn't going to be able to support them and support myself, but
Right.
that didn't happen.
Wow. No, obviously not. What
Didn't
about your
allow
other
me
two
to.
sisters? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Sorry. It's
Great question. No,
That's another podcast. All right. So I'm just kidding, Sam. Sorry. So
no,
first
you're
of all, I
fine.
want to give a shout out to Jose. I hope I get to have him on sometime because he's so supportive. Like he
Yes.
sounds super cool. Like he's really supportive and good for him. Like he obviously saw that in you. He's like, you got to go out on your own. You know what you're doing. I mean, you're obviously a very smart woman, and you'll learn as you go. Like you can learn the business like all the other lawyers do when they launch their own firm, right? If you could go back to your first year of practice, like what would you tell yourself?
I would have told myself to not have this money mindset issue. I would have told myself, invest in
Right.
SEO, invest in
Yeah.
marketing,
Okay.
invest in employees, and get
Okay.
yourself out of doing everything all so that you can delegate and then focus on bringing in more business.
Yeah. No, I mean that's. So I'm also curious. Like, so I mentioned earlier we were episode 65, which is 3 years ago. You were on here. You were featured in 2010. Like that was, I think, right around when I had. It might have been actually no, not 2010. I'm sorry, October 2020.
20.
I got the 10 confused with like the October date. So yeah, that was like yeah. I mean that's a while back, right? So how has your firm changed? Not that you remember like being on the Lawyer Stories podcast as a barometer for like where you were in life, but like 4 years is a long time, and I think like we have the addition of Jose now since then. So like, how did that all come about? Like working with him and joining the firm, and like what was his experience?
So Jose still has his own firm. He has had his firm prior to me starting my firm, which is why he told me if I can do it, you definitely can do it.
Okay,
Um, he's in the process of transferring and closing out his about last 50, I would say, ish cases,
okay.
um, and transferring completely over full time into our firm.
What was he doing? Was he doing the same stuff?
So he has a probate guardianship and estate planning
Okay,
firm.
all right, good. Wow.
Yeah. But he's helping out with my firm. He helps with the consultations, he helps with the strategy, he's part of management. And then he's also running his firm. So he's got
Wow.
a lot on his plate right now. I'm hoping I'm hoping that we can get
Wow.
this transfer done.
Give me some advice for a husband-wife team. This is just kind of off the cuff. Like what
That's my next podcast subject, by the way. I got asked to go on to another podcast to talk about working with your husband.
that's
Um,
amazing. Okay.
it's not for everyone, I will say that. I think it's definitely personality based. We are very blessed that we have a foundation and we started out knowing that we practice the same area, we understand the cases that we're working on, and even though we don't see eye to eye on everything, his strengths are my weaknesses and vice versa.
Oh,
So
cool.
if I have an IT issue, if I have a marketing issue, I'm going to him. Like
Okay.
that's what he knows. If he has a financial issue, if he has uh, uh, any sort of visionary issues, strategy issues, he's coming to me. So for us, it works really well.
Okay.
I don't think that that's the norm.
I thought you were gonna. I thought you were gonna say have a satellite office in the northern part of the state. No, I'm
No,
just kidding. No, that's great. So you guys complement each other,
yeah, for sure, for
which is
sure.
really nice. That's great. Okay,
And
so
you asked me specifically what's changed since 2020.
yes, yes.
2020 was the first year that I hit seven figures in revenue.
Wow.
Um, we were probably at, oh God, I don't know how many team members, 5 to 10. I,
Yep.
I really don't remember. Today we are close to 40 team members.
40?
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. Congrats. Wow.
Thanks. Thank you. We have 9 offices across the state of Florida. In
Oh my
2020, I think
goodness.
we had one.
Wow, Sam, I had no idea you had 9 offices. That's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. And our goal is to continue growing all over the state of Florida and continuing to help families, with any sort of family or probate issue, but specifically, people who come from different backgrounds, different ethnicities,
Yeah,
different language, culture, anything like that. That's our bread and butter. That's who we focus on.
I love that. I love that. So, is it hard to get? So you're the Florida probate and family law firm. Is it hard to get like the word Florida in there is there like a rule again? That's pretty sweet that you were able to do that. I don't know why I think there's
No
some
rules.
rule. Okay.
No, no, no. You're allowed to, there's no rules against having the word Florida in your law firm name.
Okay. That's good stuff. So now, and since our last episode, you're the mom of 2 little ones, under 2.
Yes. Yes.
You're running a law firm. You're teaching at FIU. That's undergrad, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how do you juggle it all? Like, what's a typical day like for you?
Um, it is definitely hard. Depends on the day. So I teach on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I teach for about, I would say, anywhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on if the kids have questions afterwards. I'm teaching a freshman honors class. I'm teaching them about the law. It's a lot of fun. I've been doing it for 7 years now.
That's great.
Yeah. I've also taught at the law school. I taught probate guardianship and estate planning in the clinic. So that was also a ton of fun. I
Really?
also guest lecture on elder law, guardianship issues, probate issues, family law issues at the law school. So every day is different, but I will tell you that I'm not in court every day anymore. I'm still in court, but not every day.
Right.
I'm working on some pro bono and some high level cases that I still have to be involved in. But that's been very recent. I really don't practice law the traditional way. My full-time job is managing the firm.
Yeah, of
So
course.
always looking for new talent, making strategic decisions on the vision of the firm, networking, bringing in business, working on the budget, working on the marketing plan, working on the business plan, going to conferences, just doing those high level
Yeah,
things
yeah.
each day. I also will say that each quarter, my husband and I try to take time together and do some strategic planning meetings. So this quarter, we're going to St. Lucia.
Nice. Good
Do
for you.
that?
Why not?
Yeah. So we haven't been able to leave because of the little ones, but
Right.
we made it a goal to get out of the house. Usually we'll do it in the conference room, to be honest.
Right, right.
But we're making an effort to get out and, have these meetings every quarter to make sure that the firm continues growing.
Yeah, that's great. Congratulations. That's really remarkable. When you have a new associate come in, like what do they do? Do you give them like a simple will? Do you give them like throw them to court, like doing like like a case? Like, what do you have them doing? Research?
No, so it depends on which department they're in.
Okay.
But we have an onboarding team. So we have HR and ops that come in. They have an onboarding schedule for about 2 to 3 weeks. During that onboarding schedule, they're meeting with different key members of the team. They're meeting the entire team at one point, and they're learning what each division of the firm does. Once they get that understanding of what the firm is doing, what each department's doing, what everyone's responsibilities are, then we give them a case list and we go over each case with them. And if it's a new file, there will be a senior attorney that will be on the case with them. If it's an attorney that's transferring it over, that attorney will stay on during the transfer and basically walk them through the issues, make sure that they're comfortable, make sure that, everything that they understand what's going on and that they're doing things appropriately.
Wow. Okay. So I read you're teaching epistemology.
Epistemology.
Tell me what that is. I read it, but I needed to hear it from Sam.
No, it's fine. It's the study of knowledge. No one ever knows what it is.
Study of knowledge. No, I mean that's
Study of
incredible.
knowledge.
What does that mean? Like, what's the intro to that?
So FIU has an honors college, and part of the core classes that every honors freshman student has to take is this class. So they don't have a choice. It's a year-long class split into semesters. My pod has 4 different professors teaching this class.
Okay.
Most pods have about 2 or 3 professors teaching this class. So there's multiple pods. In my pod, we have an English professor, we have a physics professor, we have a marketing professor, and then we have me, that is the legal professor. So about twice a month, I'll teach on legal matters. And then the other times of the month, my co-professors are teaching in their respective areas, but we make sure that everything blends together.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. I have to ask this. When you taught a law school clinic, you said, but did you ever call on people like the Socratic method where you just like, probably didn't have to do that with what you were doing, right?
I just feel like it's ridiculous. Like, I don't know. I mean, I do it in my honors class, actually.
Oh, you see, there you go. You do it.
I know, but the reason I do it in my honors class is because I know sometimes students aren't doing the work, so I want to see what they're going to say on the spot.
Is that honors college, like regular college?
Yeah.
Honors law school.
No, honors regular.
Wow.
Freshman. Yeah.
All right.
But when you're in law school, I mean, the clinic is it's not like that. So it's not where you're going to get called on. It's more of a case study that we're helping them with. It's a real life case. So we're helping them go through the steps, and those are not the students that are not doing the research and writing.
Yeah, I mean, I still have nightmares. Well, I won't say anything about that. All right, so let's go back to your firm.
Sure.
Who's coming to see you? Like, we know what you're doing. Like, we know but like, tell us like the clients that you're getting calls from every day, just so everybody knows the type of people that are or prospective clients you're getting.
Sure. So on the family side, we're getting clients that have been married for several years, have at least 1 or 2 kids, sometimes more, have jobs, and are going through some sort of tough issue in their marriage. They can't work it out. They've gone to therapy. They haven't gone to therapy. If they haven't gone to therapy, we tell them before you hire us, go to therapy and then come talk to us. We take a different approach than most attorneys. And it's usually issues that they don't think that they can resolve or they've already tried working on. So when they call us, we're having that consultation. We're working through the issues they're telling us, and we're telling them what the outcome will most likely be in court and what obstacles might come up, what might happen with certain judges, and what their goals are. We actually listen and say, what are your goals in hiring an attorney?
Right.
And if the goals are not something that we see as something that we're able to accomplish, because I'll give you an example. Somebody will call in and say, I want 100% time sharing and I want my husband to get no time with the child. That is not something that we can promise. And we're not going to promise anything, but that's not something in the state of Florida that's likely to happen.
Right, right.
If they're, we explain these things. We tell them what is likely, what's unlikely, and then we work through the issues, we work through the goals, and we tell them what they can expect.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good. So you don't never want to overpromise to anybody.
No, no, no,
Right.
no. And on the probate side, the typical person who calls is somebody who's had a death in the family. Usually it's a child, parent passes away, leaving assets. Parents did not have estate planning, and now child has to go through the probate process, has to go to court, has to hire an attorney so that the attorney can get all of the assets in the child's name. On the litigation side, there are other siblings that are also entitled to these assets. And so we have to go through, well, Florida statute says this is what you're entitled to. And then we have the objections of, well, I don't want my brother or sister to receive anything. So how do I get 100%? And then we have to walk through that.
So you're like full service, like you're doing it all, really.
Yeah.
That's great. So you studied psychology, excuse me, child development, Arabic, before going to law school. Like, how has that all helped you out, like coming into your law firm? I know you mentioned earlier that you want to help these different groups, very diverse groups. Like, how has that helped you specifically?
Sure. So I have my major is a bachelor's of science in psychology, and then I have a minor in child development and a minor in Arabic. And I think that it's interesting how life works because with my psychology degree, I mean, I feel like my full-time job is being a therapist. I'm listening to
Yeah.
people's problems
Yeah.
and trying to fix them or trying to help them understand how they can fix them, right?
Right. Right.
So psychology definitely comes in. And then a child development in Arabic, most of our cases have children. Some of our cases have children with special needs, adult children and minor children. And so there's a lot of hand holding and explaining that needs to happen. And so I think that my background in that definitely helps. And with the Arabic, it's very hard to find an Arabic speaking attorney.
Sure.
It's hard to find an Arab woman that practices in this area. And so it's helped me stand apart from the majority of the community. I'm in a very heavy Hispanic community. My husband's Hispanic. And so I think that with the vision of the firm and, our core values and what we stand for and what we're trying to help, it definitely helps that we're able to speak to a community that doesn't have a lot of attorneys that look like them, speak like them, understand their cultures, understand their food, understand their language, understand just norms.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. It's sort of like you can really niche down if you wanted to. I mean,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
yeah.
And it's not just me. I mean, I'm giving myself as an example, but we have my husband who's Cuban Puerto Rican, right? They have
Right.
different cultural issues too. We have we have Cuban attorneys, we have Puerto Rican attorneys, we have an attorney, another Arab attorney, we have a Jewish attorney, we have a team member from Portugal, from Brazil that speaks Portuguese. We have team members that speak obviously Spanish and Arabic and Portuguese.
Wow.
People from all over.
Yeah, and that makes a difference with your firm, I would say.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
people being able to communicate and like, how about intake? That's got to be a really important process. It is for like a lot of firms to
Yeah,
make sure you're capturing everything somebody needs and that
correct.
sort of thing, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think about it like when we call a doctor's office, right?
Yep.
Or when we're calling to make a reservation or an appointment for something. Um, it's easier to speak and to connect to someone when they understand your background. And so that's why I wanted to create something where no matter who you are and where you're from, if you call the firm, you're going to feel like we understand, you're going to feel like we connect, you're going to feel like you're heard. And that's
Right.
important to me.
I love that. So your reels on social media are amazing.
Thanks.
Tell us like the inspiration for those, you and Jose just kind of asking each other questions and like
Yeah,
little banter. Like,
embarrassing.
no, they're amazing. Why do you mean embarrassing? I love them. They're great. Tell me about them.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We've had a social media manager for the past 3 years,
That's
and
awesome.
she's helped us a lot with our vision on social media. Follow us on Lawyer Lady Boss, please. We are on all different platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, YouTube. We're on everything, and she helps us come up with the vision. So some things we just come up with on the spot, and to be honest, the way that this happens is every month we have one or two shoots,
Yeah.
and it's just like spitfire. She'll ask us
Right.
a
Right.
question and we answer on the spot. There's no practice, there's no anything. And I think it helps because it's more genuine.
And then you make a bunch of content from that, right?
Yeah,
Or maybe a couple
yeah,
reels. Yeah, that's good. That's
yeah.
good.
And it's just an honest conversation. It started off with just me. Then I was like, you know what? Jose's funnier than I am. So let me bring him into the mix. And now we have conversations and we argue and we have real life conversations
Yeah.
that, people want to see. And there we have it.
I think it's great. I love it. And that's something
Thank
I've noticed, since we've last spoken. So
thank you.
good stuff. And so it has played a larger role for you in the last like 4 years since you have the manager now. That's good. So tell us about anything like what's next for you, like coming up, anything exciting for your firm, your teaching, or personally, or what's happening.
So we are going to St. Lucia for our strategic planning meeting.
Wicked cool.
We are meeting with a mastermind group. We're a part
Okay.
of different mastermind groups, which we
Wow.
didn't talk
Okay.
about, but it's like coming together with different business owners for 2 to 3 days at a time
Yep.
every quarter, and then exchanging ideas and issues that we're going through, and
Yeah.
that really, really, really strengthened our firm. So we're
Right.
doing that in June. We have two of those. One is in Key Largo, one is in Atlanta. So we're meeting with two different groups doing that. Um, I think we'll probably take a family vacation with my sisters and my parents.
It's great.
And then on the business side, I think that I don't think, we're definitely growing. We're looking for some more associate attorneys to join the
Really?
team.
All right.
Yes. And we are strengthening our marketing. I think our marketing helps us stand apart in the community.
Yep.
So we're going to continue doing that, finding different community events, helping us be featured in different articles and podcasts and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And yeah, just trying to strengthen the firm.
I love that. I love that you're at a point now where you're just like you say, and it sticks with me, like you're doing the high level stuff. I kind of look at it like that at my regular gig. You're doing you're just overseeing, you're managing, you're dealing with people, you manage people, you manage like everything else that goes along with the business side of the firm. And obviously if somebody has a really complex legal issue, they'll come to you and be like, "Hey, what do you want to do about this?" I think, right? So
For sure.
yeah, so I think that that's like a great place to be in. So big time congrats to you, Sam, for
Thank you.
for growing it so big, and Jose being there. That's really cool. I like that. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I asked the question about husband and wife working together because my wife has come in and she's been helping me with like my newsletter and Lawyer Stories Connect and like all that stuff. So, I mean, it's on like a very smaller level, but it's just interesting to hear. So, what have we left anything out that you want to talk about with your firm, or any advice or anything you'd like to give us?
Yeah, so I I helped write an article on LinkedIn that came out today, and
Okay.
it's the last thing that I'll probably say unless I miss something else that you want me to talk about, but it talked about juggling being a mother, a business owner, a professor, and a wife. And um it specifically mentions how I have a 26-month-old and I have a 10-month-old, right? And I work from home the majority of the time. Now I'm in the office today, but
Yeah.
I'm usually at home, and I have mom guilt. I want to be around my kids. I want to make sure that I'm also working and providing for my team and continuing to ensure that they have job security, right?
Right.
And when I talked about this in the article, but when you have your son or your daughter tugging on your leg and it's like, Mom, I want to go play, or come
Yeah.
on, come, Mom, because his vocab is growing every day.
Yep.
It's really hard. It's hard juggling everything. But if you guys take anything from this podcast, you can do it. Like I said this earlier, I'm a kid that grew up in Section 8 housing on food stamps with my parents cleaning homes, working at restaurants, working at hospitals, doing anything and everything to provide. And now, as a result of their hard work and what they showed us, their leadership, my sisters and I have been able to provide a great life for our children. And I was able to grow a multi-million-dollar firm and still raise my kids and still teach and still do everything that I can. Is it easy? No. But is it possible? Absolutely.
That's awesome. I love it.
Thanks.
Great bit of advice and inspiration. Very inspiring. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on again. It was great to catch up with you. And I'd like to have that article and maybe put it as a blog post on our website. We have a brand new website. Maybe we can get that up there. Get Ashley or not Ashley. I'm sorry. Get a team. Chelsea, yeah, I was talking to another Ashley earlier. I'm sorry. It's yes, we'll reach out. We'll get, if you want to put it on our website, thelawyerstories.com. That'd be great. I'd love to read it.
Awesome.
So thanks for being here, Samah Abukhodeir, from founder and managing partner of the Florida Probate and Family Law Firm, South Florida, helping clients all over Florida. Sam, great to see you. Please stay right there. Everybody else, thanks for coming in. Wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers.
Thank you.